Morning, guys. Let's see, Maria, Ethan, Karina. Logan.
Here.
Mayo. Mays. Laurel. Moberly is excused today. Lauren Moon. Stevie here. Darren. Carter. Daniel here. Jared. Smith. Bryson and Clayton. All right. As you guys know, registration starts, I think, next Wednesday, if I'm not mistaken. It's not official yet, but we're going to make one change to finance schedule. Finance 420 is going to be Monday, Wednesday, 9:05 instead of 1:25. One of my students who has to graduate next semester noted that it's at the same time as the tax class, Accounting 322. And if you're financial planning, both of them are required. For some reason, nobody thought that they should coordinate these things. Years ago, I was the finance coordinator. We actually spent time on these things, but hey, young people don't think they should. It's okay if a student graduates a year later or a semester later. It's not, but. All right, let's continue. Let's just remind us where we were. Yeah, we talked about some relevant stuff. We talked that sunk costs are not relevant. Opportunity costs are. Obviously, standard sales and other kind of costs are. And depreciation, most importantly, is relevant to the extent that it affects the tax bill. Now let's think about side effects. Things like cannibalism and or cross-selling opportunities. Sometimes when you come up with a new product, if the project involves a new product, it ends up affecting existing sales. And typically this is in the form of cannibalism. The biggest example of this is, Apple, for example. Apple, what's coming up this fall? Apple 15, iPhone 15, okay? When you come up with the iPhone 15, what's gonna happen to the sales of iPhone 14? It's gonna go down, okay? A lot of people who would have otherwise bought iPhone 14 will end up buying iPhone 14s. But sometimes, since iPhone 14 is now going to be cheaper, some people who wouldn't have bought any Apple products may also buy that one. So we're going to look at the net of these things. And for the purposes of evaluating the project, it's not the sales or profit from the new product that's important. It is the net effect on the firm. Okay? Since project cash flows are based on incremental cash flows, cash flows to the firm with the project versus without. Side effects are relevant. So when we're doing our pro forma financial statements for the project, we're going to use the net sales or net costs, net of any side effects. There is one thing that you need to be careful about, especially when you're doing capital budgeting. Always beware of claims that there's going to be positive side effects, which may or may not be true. I mean, which may very well be true. But in many cases, the people who develop these projects, without even any fraud or ill thoughts in their head, it's their baby. They have a positive view of the project, so they actually think that coming up with iPhone 15 will increase, let's say, sales of iPhone 14 or 13. And obviously that's not going to happen. It is true that you may get some new customers that you would have otherwise gotten because your new product is now going to be cheaper. Always approach those claims cautiously. In fact, try to see if you can accept a project without any positive side effects. If without taking those into account, project is still positive NPV, why not? Go ahead and use it. We will also talk about interest expense. This is kind of a touchy thing. Obviously, interest expenses are cash expenses, so your first instinct is going to be they should be relevant. But because of standalone project, standalone principle, we actually consider interest expenses not relevant. Because interest expenses are not expenses for the project. It's an expense to the firm because they choose to finance it by debt. A project, a capital project, or an investment project and decision should not depend on how the firm chooses to finance the project. If you're going to come up with a new product, this product is either adding value to the firm or not, whether you finance it 100% equity or you finance it 100% debt. In any case, hence the decision on capital structure, which is a fancy term for debt equity mix of the firm, should be separated from capital budgeting decisions. So those two are completely different decisions. The firm overall makes a decision on how much leverage they want They could finance the entire firm by equity. They could finance 90% of the firm by debt. But that's a decision firm takes. They make a decision on how much leverage risk they want to take. But that has no bearing, no direct bearing on the capital budgeting decisions. Though we do not directly include interest expenses, capital budgeting, indirectly we will be doing so. Through the cost of capital. If you remember, when we developed those criteria for investments, other than payback period, they all involve cost of capital. And as we're going to find out starting next Wednesday or so, cost of capital is